Beneath his stormy surface flowed the warm tide of compassion and kindness.
HVL.
Going on out here?
Green Sally up, a green Sally down. Last done start, gotta tell the ground. Green Sally up, a green Sally down. Last done start, gotta tell the ground. Green Sally up, a green Sally down. Last done start, gotta tell the ground. Green Sally up, a green Sally down. Last done start, gotta tell the ground. Green Sally up, a green Sally down. Last done start, gotta tell the ground. Green Sally up, a green Sally down. Last done start, gotta tell the ground. Green Sally up, a green Sally down. Last done start, gotta tell the ground. Green Sally up, a green Sally down. Last done start, gotta tell the ground. Old Miss Lucy dead and gone, left me here to weep and moan.
Hey, what's up, softball fans, and welcome into another season of What in the HVL, as we are here to cover the 2025 season for the 9 teams in our favorite conference, the Hiawatha Valley League, baby. If you didn't tune into season 1, I'm Adam Peterson, straight out of Tiger Nation in Stewartville. But hopefully, if you did tune in last year, you saw that I will do my best to cover each and every school in the HVL. I appreciate all those that tune into our inaugural season of What in the HVL. I am really grateful for all those coaches, parents, athletes, and fans that helped put together those first 10 episodes. I hope you had a chance to watch the special edition first episode of this year, as I tried to create an all-star lineup of one player from each of the 9 schools to fill an entire softball field. And if you did, I imagine you probably came away with the same thought that I had. Man, do we have a lot of studs in the dugouts of the HVL conference. This episode, it's an exciting one because it was the most watched episode in 2024, and that is where we do our season preview, where we break down each of the rosters and give you the first look at all the incredibly talented ladies we are looking forward to watching on the diamond in 2025. Before I get to roster breakdowns, I think I need to acknowledge a few things. First, I want to say that I can only share what I have available to me, so I do my best to find information, whether it be from Game Changer or the Post Bulletin, social media accounts. Luckily, I had some helpful individuals last year that made my life a ton easier. So if you want to help, if you want to send anything in, please feel free to email me here, tigernationandbeyond@gmail.com, with pictures, videos, stats, whatever you want to send me. I'll try to do my best to include it in each weekly episode. It may look like some teams might get more coverage than others. Obviously, Stewartville, I have the easiest access to, but I do promise you, I do my absolute best to include what I have, and sometimes that means I have more from certain teams than I do others. I guess it is what it is. I do the best I can. With that being said, little disclaimer, I think I should also acknowledge that I don't know how accurate or true the stats are that I'm sharing. I tell you what's been documented by each team. I will say that after following all 9 teams last year, about as closely as probably anybody can, there are, how can I say it? We'll say discrepancies with how games are scored, creating more favorable stats for the reporting team. There were a ton of instances, probably too many to count, where errors on the field would be scored as hits, or stolen bases scored for things that were actually pass balls or defensive indifference, and the list goes on and on. It's somewhat disappointing because it happened too often to just be a mistake here or there, and with inflated stats, we saw postseason awards being swayed towards players that benefited from that style of scoring. So the stats and scoring I share aren't from me. It's just what the team has put out there, and you can do with that what you like. I think that needs to be acknowledged that it happens. I know about it. It's just not a lot I can do. It's just what I have access to, and it's what I share to you. The other thing that I received feedback from last season that I want to address, there were certain players that I highlighted for their play on the field from other schools, and I was approached a couple times asking, like, how could you promote someone like that? So to be honest, I don't personally know many of the girls I talk about. I don't know how they are in school. I don't know how they treat others most of the time. I don't know if certain teammates don't get along with other teammates. I just don't know much about that. So I apologize for not knowing players as well as I would like. And I'm sure everybody has a different opinion of certain players or parents or coaches if you ask anyway. So one of the things that I've learned from covering high school sports in Stewartville over the last 10 years is that some of my favorite athletes to cheer for are also the ones that are just great people. That's why I'm such a huge fan of people like Max Steele from Byron, because I've gotten a chance to know her as a person. I just wish I had more of an opportunity to know other players and be able to talk about these girls as people too, just not softball players, because that, to me, that's what most important to many of us as parents, as fans, as people. We want our daughters to be great softball players, yeah. But above all else, we want them to be great people. And I'm sure there are a long list of those types of girls in the HVL. I just don't know many of them well enough to share all that. And I apologize for that, because I'm sure I'm missing out on some incredible people and the stories that could be told if I was on top of that. All right, with that out of the way, as Rihanna said, this is what you came for here. The roster previews of all 9 HVL teams. Similar to last year, I think the only fair way to do this is in alphabetical order from Byron to Zumbrota-Mazeppa. We're going to have you covered. So let's start out with the first team. The Byron Bears. Bears were 12-8 a year ago, 6-2 in the conference. They finished runner-up in 2024. This is a program that has churned out superstars like Macy Borowski and Maddie Cochran, and the Bears have no shortage of talent on this year's roster. Byron is coached by Jacob Harmon, who's been in charge since 2007. Look at him right there. Looks like a guy you don't want to mess with, huh? The Bears bring back all but one player from last year's team and all 9 of their starters, 2 incredible pitchers that you see here in Barons and Steele, and probably the most lethal lineup in the conference. I would imagine that Byron is the team to beat for the HVL title in 2025. I talked about the 2 pitchers. Let's start with the first one here. Junior lefty Tally Barons, 2-time all HVL, all section, all area first team, and all width from last year, which I think is the most important award. She battled through injury last season, but still managed to hit 500 with an on-base percentage of .620, 9 extra base hits, 5 doubles, a home run against Austin. She's speedy as well. Team leading 11 steals, 24 runs scored. On the mound, she can throw absolute gas. Struck out 124, had a 2.25 ERA while holding opposing hitters to just a 170 batting average, on her way to a 5-3 record through 71 innings pitched. Plays for the Minnesota Elite, named one of the top uncommitted prospects for the class of 2026, one of the big-time stars for with softball. That's Tally Barons. The other pitcher for the Bears, sophomore Mackenzie Steele. No better name in the HVL than Max Steele, and she is just as good as her name implies. This girl is scary in the box. She hit .377 last season with a .452 on-base percentage, 6 doubles, 3 home runs, 2 against Lourdes, 1 in Stewartville that ran Brooklyn into the dead center fence, but we'll forgive her because she's a nice girl. 20 RBIs, all HVL, honorable mention all area. Again, one of our returning all-with players. Love that. She's solid in the field at third base and gives the Bears another strong arm inside the circle. A smart guy, Chad Foster, told me one time, the only time you only want one pitcher is when your second one's on vacation. No, I don't think that's how it went. Don't quote me on that. I can't remember. Chad Foster's giving me a hard time for that. But the more pitchers you have, the better pitchers you have, the better your program's going to be. Mac threw 65 innings last year, racked up 7 wins as a freshman, 89 strikeouts with a 3.57 ERA. Steele also plays for the elite program for softball, a monstrous loss for our Sticks program, where I got to know her and her family over the last 2 years. And I can tell you that there are not many people better out there than the Steels. The Sundays are for the Steels, is our saying. Max Steele, absolutely one of my favorite people in the HVL, one of the easiest girls to cheer for, even if she doesn't wear the maroon and gold. Another incredible player for the Bears. How about this? The last of the 3 returning all-with members I selected in 2024 from Byron. Not only one of the best players for Byron, one of the best all-around players in the HVL, sophomore shortstop Cadence Furstead. She has all the tools. She's got range. She's got a great glove in the field. Cannon for an arm. She can hit for power. She can hit for average. And she hits from the left side of the plate, which coaches absolutely love. Furstead hit .448 last season with 30 hits, 3 home runs, 20 RBIs. She had several walk-off hits for wins, including in the sections and the big HVL matchup against Zumbrota-Mazeppa. A few years back, probably one of the smoothest catchers that I've watched behind the plate. Has since switched to shortstop, but she can pretty much play anywhere. I know she's one of the best volleyball players in Minnesota for the class of 2027, and I'm sure the future is bright for her in that sport. So I'm just going to enjoy her watching her every chance I get on the softball field. It's definitely a gift. Another monstrous loss for the Minnesota Sticks softball program, as she is so busy playing volleyball. So I'm going to obviously miss her this summer, especially seeing my main man crew at games. Obviously, Sean and Alicia too goes without saying, but what a stud. First stud, you've heard me say it before. She is incredible. Next up for Byron, you got Leah Strain. I said that that Byron returned all their starters from a year ago, and they are quality starters. Leah Strain will lead the outfield in center field again. I would imagine she batted leadoff for the Bears. Strain finished the year with a 266 average, 17 hits, including a home run, 15 runs scored, good for third on the team, 7 RBIs, and 4 stolen bases. Hattie Mathery, she's their catcher from last season, fresh off an incredible wrestling season that culminated in a second place finish at state, so big congratulations to her. She caught last season, is a strong girl, so when she swings, it's not a 50% swing, let me tell you. She is looking to rip the cover off the ball. Hattie finished the year with 11 hits, a double, 8 RBIs, and 4 runs scored. She was also top 5 on the team for on-base percentage. Macy Behringer, 12 hits, 2 doubles, 12 RBIs, 9 runs scored last year as a freshman. Macy just joined our traveling softball team, so I've had a chance to see her work. She's been a nice addition to have at first base, tall target that can stretch for a wide range of throws. She can hit, she's fast. I don't know where Byron plans to play her, but we should probably see her in the lineup somewhere. I mentioned Strain. Well, we got some other upperclassmen. I believe there's 3 other upperclassmen that should contribute to this Bears lineup. Kayleen Irwin, Kate Ahern, and Emma Clark. Cannot forget Leah Bendix. Had the big hit in the 7th against Zumbrota-Mazeppa in that thriller of a game. Bendix finished with 12 hits, 3 doubles, a home run, 8 runs scored, and 7 RBIs. You have Ella Brennan, another incredible volleyball player for Byron that also plays softball. Junior Katie Augenstein, another one of those fantastic Byron girls wrestlers that qualified for state. Strong girl to put a bat in her hands. Byron is going to be... Yeah, they're going to be scary for everyone to face this season with that lineup. Absolutely loaded roster. Big thanks to Coach Jacob Harmon for getting me a ton of info on this roster. He could probably write a book with the incredible ladies he has in the black and gold for 2025. And it would be a New York Times bestseller, let me tell you, because that's how good this team's going to be. Our next team that we're going to cover, the Cannon Falls Bombers. And the Bombers have a new man in charge as Tom Langfeld has stepped down and Adam Templin takes over with Grant Shoquist as his right-hand man this year. And boy, does Coach Templin have a strong core to build his program around. The Bombers did lose big hitting first baseman Maddie Bird at graduation. Great to see her doing well in playing D1 volleyball at South Dakota State. Last season, the Bombers finished 12-10, 500 in conference play, where they finished 5th in the HVL, but they return a whole bunch of studs in 2025. You got to start out in the circle. Junior Allie Pagel is the unquestioned ace for the staff for Cannon Falls. In her sophomore year, struck out 156 batters, had a 1.05 whip, a measly 1.89 ERA. She was a workhorse last season, through 118 innings. She was just as good at the plate, though. Hit .408 with 15 RBIs, 17 runs scored, 29 hits with 2 doubles, 3 triples, 1 home run, a .507 slugging percentage. I believe she's with the TC Blitz program for summer ball. Really solid player for Coach Templin to rely on, especially having that ace for the next 2 years, Junior Allie Pagel. Every pitcher needs a good catcher, right? And there's no better catcher in the HVL than freshman Maya Mengi of Cannon Falls. This girl is not only one of the best players in the conference, she has to be one of the top prospects in Minnesota for the class of 2028. She has a just absolute dynamite in her bat. Blasted 6 home runs, 8 doubles, 2 triples, while hitting .455 as an 8th grader last season, a sky-high .909 slugging percentage. Led the team with 30 hits. She scored 17 runs, had 14 RBIs, but just as good behind the plate. You do not want to run on this girl. She threw out 33% of base runners, racked up 142 innings behind the dish in 2024. Mengi can run, she can hit, she's one of the best defensive catchers around, but let me tell you a story about why I'm such a huge Maya Mengi fan. Actually, maybe I'll just show you here. I think I put the video in here. I did. Watch this at bat. We'll watch it. We'll play it again, though. This is Maya Mengi flying out to right field. You say, Adam, why are you showing this video? Let me tell you. Last year, Brooklyn Sticks team played Maya Mengi's Bomber national team at the 14U NAFA Northern National Tournament. I believe it was in Lakeville. This video right here is why I'm such a huge Mengi fan. Obviously, an outstanding player. Maya had this at bat where she hit a pretty fly ball, and I'll show it again. She hit a pretty fly ball, fairly routine play for our right fielder to make, which our outfielder did. But what I loved about Maya was she was flying out of the box and was darn near to second base by the time the ball hit the outfielder's glove. Even though she knew it probably would be kind of a routine out. She was running like it was a shot to the gap. That kind of effort is all I need to know about a player. I made sure to talk to both of my daughters about it and say, that's the kind of effort I want to see at all times. I love to see it. It's easy to run hard when you know it's in the gap or it's a solid hit. Not as easy to give that effort if it appears to be a routine play. That's the kind of player I want on my team every day every day of the week, twice on Sunday. Not that we play on Sundays, but if I did, twice on doubleheader, Coach Templin gets that for the next 4 years, but watch it again. Routine fly ball. Watch how hard Mengi is running out of the box. This is one of the intangibles that makes her a special player, is the effort that she provides on every single play, whether she's behind the plate, whether she's in the field, doesn't matter. She is awesome. Also, I want to say, interactions with the Mengis have been great. Makes it easy to cheer for Maya's continued success. Can't wait to watch her for the next 4 years. Speaking of having a stud for the next 4 years, you see her right here. How about Cannon Falls returning freshman Emma Templin? Ridiculous three-sport athlete that you will find usually at shortstop for the Bombers. Emma hit .323 last year as an 8th grader with a .391 on-base percentage. Joined Mengi and Pagel in the 20-hit club for the season. 2 doubles, 9 RBIs, 9 runs scored. She can also pitch if Pagel needs a break. She threw 15 innings last year with 12 strikeouts, mid-3 ERA. I think she's going to keep getting better and better, and she's already darn good, let me tell you. And the rich get richer in Cannon Falls. The return of a phenomenal player, Avery Rustad, missed last season due to a basketball injury, is back for her final season in the black and red, and she is hoping to repeat that stellar sophomore season she had in 2023, where she hit 444 with a .653 slugging percentage, 12 doubles, 1 home run, 23 RBIs, 17 runs scored. Those are ridiculous numbers as a 10th grader, and add that to what is returning to this Cannon Falls lineup. Watch out for them. It seemed like every time I turned around, we talked about the Bombers' depth. It seemed like every time I turned around and looked at a box score, one of the Showquist girls was coming up big with a big game. Chloe, a senior, .302 on-base percentage, 13 hits, 2 doubles, 5 RBIs, and 7 runs scored. Josie played third base, I believe, and I think Chloe was at second, if I remember correctly. But Josie finished with .349 on-base percentage, 12 hits, 1 triple, 4 RBIs, and 8 runs scored. Speaking of Showquist, there was a Showquist girl on the Bombers 12U team we played last summer with my younger daughter that could hit the snot out of the ball. Don't know which family she belongs to, but look at the last name. The future is bright right there. Anna Ritz returns for her senior season, a solid outfielder for the Bombers. She was a top 5 hitter for the team last year. .293 average with 17 hits, a double, a triple, 5 RBIs, 11 runs scored. Other players that you got to keep an eye out for: senior Addison Miller, Claire Myers, Ava Hansen, Sophia Nerison. Big thanks to Coach Adam Templin for the help out of Cannon Falls, getting me to break down this roster. The Bombers only allowed just a titch over 4 runs a game last season with solid defense, and if they put the runs up on the board like I think they can with this roster, with this lineup, it's absolutely stacked. Competing with Byron for the most firepower, I think, is an argument you can make. These girls could absolutely make a run to be the best team in the HVL, the Cannon Falls Bombers. Next up, the Goodhue Wildcats. Goodhue is another team in the HVL with a new head coach as Kimberly Lundak stepped down and Scott Christensen will take over for the Wildcats. Goodhue finished last season with 7 wins, and 4 of their losses were only by 1 run, showing that they can absolutely get to double-digit wins with just a play here or there going the other way. The Wildcats returned a bunch of players from last season. They are led by, let's bring her in, pitcher Emma Voth, the ace of the staff, while Morgan Rader also threw 41 innings last season. But Emma Voth will be in her final season for Goodhue and looking to make a huge impact. She was the team's MVP in 2024, part of our all-with team. She had a 3.71 ERA with 98 strikeouts. She also had 11 hits, 2 RBIs at the plate. And how about this next duo, huh? Have you heard about the band AC/DC, Thunderstruck, Back in Black, Hell's Bells, to name a few? Have you heard it? Well, in Goodhue, they don't have AC/DC. They have ACLC, the Christensen girls, huh? The sophomore sisters, Lola and Aubrey Christensen. And these 2 girls are not just incredible on the basketball court, which big congratulations to them and their team going to the state tournament. Not just incredible on the basketball court, also on the softball diamond. You see them paired up here, pitcher and catcher, but usually Aubrey can play shortstop. She can play first, a lot of different positions. They also got featured in the breakdown, the Christensen sisters, outstanding athletes for the Wildcats. Let's start out with Aubrey. Aubrey moved around the field a number of positions, pitcher, first, shortstop. Aubrey, all HVL, all section and all with as a freshman last season. She hit 253 with 19 hits, 6 of those doubles. She scored 21 runs, 19 stolen bases, which may have led the HVL if I'm not mistaken. On base percentage, 292 with a 333 slugging percentage. Next up, Lola, solid catcher for Goodhue. She was all with and honorable mention all HVL. Lola hit I think she led the team with a 324 batting average, 366 slugging percentage, 23 total hits, 3 doubles, 7 RBI. She stole 13 bases and accounted for 14 runs. The crazy thing is, in 71 at-bats, I saw her strike out only once. She is putting the ball in play and using that speed. Love to see that in the sport of softball. Extremely tough to get this girl out. Next up for Goodhue, let's talk about their depth. You know, you got Sierra Karlstrom, Kylie Mandelikow. Each of them racked up double-digit hits last season. Karlstrom had 8 RBIs. You got Izzy O'Reilly. She hit 220. Some other names to look for. Lauren Gadian, I know we talked about last year. She played well in the outfield. Maya Russian, Hazel Volkman, Kendra and Morgan Rader. Like I said before, Morgan pitched 41 innings. She racked up 3 wins, had 21 strikeouts in case both needs a little bit of a break. Coach Scott Christensen will look to take this young Goodhue team to the next level in his first season. Very excited to see how that roster progresses with a lot of good all-around athletes. Next up, the Kasson-Mantorville Komets. The Komets are back and looking to defend their share of the HVL title from 2024, but will have to replace some of the biggest losses in terms of core players in the entire conference. That core group I'm talking about, Callie Richards, Andrea Fitch, Abby Simons, all have graduated. Those 3 girls accounted for a huge chunk of the offensive production for the Komets last year, but Coach Paul Mann has to be excited about bringing back one of the best pitchers in southeastern Minnesota. She'll be back. Kasson-Mantorville was 14-8 last season, 7-1 in the conference, tied with Stewartville for the best record. That's what earned them a share of the title. They were the top scoring team in the conference at over 7 runs per game and allowed the second least runs in the HVL. A good combination for a lot of wins. I talked about the incredible pitcher Kasson-Mantorville brings back. Here she is, Emily Olson. Unbelievable last season. Minnesota State University Moorhead took notice as Olsen committed to play softball for the Dragons next year. Olsen, though, lights out in her junior year, 11-4 on the mound with 107 strikeouts, a 3.12 ERA, left 103 runners on base. Opponents only hit 231 off her. Emily hit 254 at the plate with 7 doubles, 16 RBIs, 5 runs scored, likely reduced there because of courtesy runners. If Olsen is on the mound, the Komets have a shot to win, let me tell you that. She's that good. Next up, Kylie Meyer. Another top player returning for Kasson-Mantorville, coming off a state championship in hockey where she was named all-state tournament team, so congratulations to her and her teammates as well. She is back on the diamond, and she made some plays in left field last season. She could play several different positions. She hit .397 with a .472 on-base percentage, 7 doubles, 14 RBIs, 11 runs scored. Next up, one of the more dynamic players in the HVL in the conference, shortstop Allie Gronke, back for her. I think she's a senior. She's either a junior or senior. Don't quote me on that, but she's an upperclassman. She's smooth in the field, fast on the base path, swiping 15 bases last season while hitting .316 with 24 hits, 3 doubles, led the team with 4 triples, also scored a ridiculous 22 runs. This girl is fun to watch. Cara Farnsworth was up. She was an up-and-coming pitcher for the Komets, but was able to contribute in other ways while Olsen was playing so well or throwing so well on the mound. Farnsworth last season, .312 batting average, 3 doubles, a triple, 4 RBIs, and 8 runs scored. You got Grace Mann. She played second base last year. I would imagine she's going to stay in the middle infield with Gronke, I think, at shortstop. We'll see where Coach Mann chooses to play her. She scored 18 runs last season, had 7 RBIs. She hit .254. The depth on Kasson-Mantorville. Again, they'll have some quality depth throughout their lineup with 3 arms. Olsen, Farnsworth, and then Alex Hyatt. Plenty of options in the circle for Kasson-Mantorville. Hyatt is a freshman. Also look for Lauren Godbout, a junior that may take over at first base since Abby Simons has graduated. Janae Sandstrom, another junior. The Komets may have a good shot at repeating as HVL champs this season. A 9-day stretch in April will likely get us closer to that answer, as that is when they play Byron on the 8th, Cannon Falls on the 15th, and Stewartville on the 17th. If they can hit a good run there, boy, they would be in the driver's seat, and they could do just that. Olsen and crew on the with Olsen on the mound and everybody backing her up. Kasson-Mantorville, another dangerous year for them in 2025. Next up, Lake City. The Tigers had a rough season last year with just 2 wins, but this team has a new head coach excited to oversee this rebuild in Lake City. Her name is Rena Niehoff, and she will take over for Jackie Betcher. Coach Niehoff will look to take a few top-tier seniors and then balance that out with some of the talented youth that's coming up through the program. In terms of the talented seniors, well, that all starts with Kylie Mann, Lake City's top player. The senior shortstop was all HVL, all with, and second team all area after leading the team in batting average, hits, home runs, RBIs, and stolen bases. Not a lot this girl can't do. Mann finished the year hitting a reported .508 with 32 hits, 4 home runs, 7 multi-hit games, 3 hit games, not just skill-wise, but also a smart hitter with her approach at the plate. Knowing the count, working it into her favor. Coach Niehoff loves her work ethic, positive attitude, and that's what you need out of your seniors. Someone willing to motivate her teammates and help build a team-first mentality. The other senior that returns, Adelaide Benedict. She was all with last season. She balances the infield with Mann on the left side. Benedict is over at first base. Adelaide hit .339 with 2 doubles, 7 RBIs, 11 runs scored, 5 RBIs against Triton, 4 for 4 against Wabasha Kellogg. Likely will hit in that 3 to 5 part of the order, you would think. The intangibles are what Coach Niehoff raves about, though. Incredible leader who plays with a ton of passion, always willing to put in the extra work is what she says. The Lake City depth. Let's talk about that. Cor Reckman, I believe she's a senior. I think she's another senior for Coach Niehoff. She works hard, she led the off-season lifting program, can play a lot of different spots on the field. You got Haley Lothar. She'll join Reckman in the outfield, likely with her speed, has a good arm, one of the most consistent players for this squad. You got Lucy Stewart, a senior, an option at second base. She runs well on the base pass. Allison Dykes is the last senior listed there, has thrown a lot of innings for the Tigers. Questions circling on whether or not she'll be coming out for her final season in Lake City. I guess we'll see about that, but did want to mention her in case she does sign up. 7 seniors. Nice to be walking into as a head coach, but Lake City has some younger girls with talent as well. You need, we talked about it with Cannon Falls. With good pitching, you need good catcher. Well, behind the plate, the Tigers will have that in Madison Skifton in her junior year. Ella Rumley is another junior that returns to the lineup. Just an all-around athlete. Rumley pitched a bit last season, moved around the field, but we may see her at the hot corner at third to give the Tigers a loaded left side of the infield. Jillian Hoyer played outfield last season, not afraid to lay out for a diving catch. Lake City then has a trio of freshmen to look forward to. None more exciting than pitcher Alana Schmitz, who I've had the pleasure to watch grow over the last 3 years in club ball. Don't let her stature fool you. She can throw hard. She locates pitches well. She mixes up her speed to keep hitters off balance. And this winter, her bat has been hotter than a pistol during our winter dome tournaments. Look for her to make an immediate impact for the Tigers. There's also Riley Theron, who's a utility player and gives some quality depth at catcher. You got Tatum Shaky, another quality pitcher that has long ball potential inside the batter's box. Lake City, a bit of an unknown. I think you can see the Tigers surprise some people with that roster, though, this year. We'll see how Coach Niehoff gets them to shake out once games start early April. Pine Island Panthers. Head coach Kim Jones led the team to 10 wins last year, but we'll have to figure out how to replace 2 of her best players from last season and at key positions too. Caitlin Laram at pitcher, Sophia Polzer in center field, both all area selections, both have graduated. Luckily for Coach Jones, her infield all comes back and is stacked. The Barnett sisters will hold down the left side of the field after an incredible 2024 season. The team had a .315 batting average, scored 132 runs, 47 stolen bases swiped by Pine Island as well. The left side of the infield, I said they were going to be the strength. Well, you're going to be led by junior Tegan Barnett. She'll play third base. Tegan hit .373 last season as a sophomore, 545 with runners in scoring position. She scored 16 runs, 9 RBIs, 9 stolen bases, 4 extra base hits, 3 doubles, and an absolute bomb that I think we showed in our Christmas highlight video. I believe I included that. Next up, freshman Peyton Barnett. She'll return at shortstop after hitting .375 with 2 doubles, a triple, to go with a .538 average with runners in scoring position. It seems like the Barnett sisters have that clutch gene, and just not in volleyball, I guess also in softball. Peyton led the team in RBIs with 20, also scored 12 runs for the Panthers. At second base is going to be, and maybe even pitching a little bit, will be Jaden Volts. She hit an even .300 last year with 3 doubles, 14 RBIs, which was third on the team. Kylie Passow, she will round out that strong infield at first base. She hit .314 with 2 doubles and a triple to go along with 7 runs batted in. She had a .444 on-base percentage. The last member of that defensive infield, it's the one behind the plate. It's one of the more underrated players in the HVL, Jenna Slicener. Jenna, .313 batting average with 4 doubles. A triple, 17 RBIs, second on the team for that RBIs, just behind Peyton Barnett. She hit .375 with runners in scoring position. She played well last summer for the Minnesota Sticks 16U program, where she hit .405 and led the team in RBIs. In outfield, there'll be some options for Coach Jones. One of the best wrestlers in the state, Lauren Elsmore, will trade her headgear in for a batting helmet. She can play infield or outfield, some luxury there. She hit .281 last season. You got Ruby Severson. She can play some outfield. May do some work at that designated player slot with her bat. She hit .314 one season ago with 10 walks. Seems to find a way to get on base. Ava Pokrant will be back. She racked up 10 hits and 7 RBIs 1 year ago. A younger team, but one that has a lot of experience in Pine Island. The biggest question mark, I think, for Pine Island will be, how do you replace Laram on the mound? Will it be Volts, or will the Panthers look to some underclassmen like Lily Ryder or Maddie Skibstead? Skibstead was on our Sticks team last year, just kept getting better and better each tournament, culminating and helping our core group of 14U players actually win the 18U Monster National Tournament that was hosted in Rochester. No matter who they run out on the mound, pretty solid defense that you can rely on. If you can get the ball, weak ground balls, it's going to be almost an automatic out with that infield. Rochester Lourdes Eagles. The Eagles will bring back a ton of talent from 2024. And since it was such a young team, it feels like they just keep moving those all-stars up just another grade and not losing much. I believe Becky Mackin stepped down as head coach and Mike Mackin took over, so essentially swapping roles on the coaching staff. But that's unofficial. I haven't heard about it. I haven't gotten in contact with anybody from Lourdes. Lourdes went 7-13 last year, 2-6 in the HVL, finishing 7th. They seem poised to just move up the rankings with that extra year of experience under the belt of so many talented players. I think you could see Lourdes start making a run, starting to surprise some teams. Leading hitter Ali Restovich returns after going .368 for a batting average last year with an on-base percentage of .427. She had 6 doubles, 4 triples, 1 home run, 13 RBIs, and 15 runs scored. Ali also stole 6 bases. You have Amelie Dolman. I apologize. This is the only picture I can find of her. I know she's getting older. She started 18 games for the Eagles last season on the mound, threw over 104 innings, racked up 6 of the 7 wins for the Eagles. She had 72 strikeouts. Also second on the team with a .354 batting average, 4 doubles, 12 RBIs, and 15 runs scored. A major strength for Lourdes is going to be the Winnicky sisters. Leah, working behind the plate here. Yep, I talk about her first. She hit .333 last season with a .421 slugging percentage. 2 doubles, 1 home run, 10 RBIs, 6 runs scored. She caught over 122 innings last season, threw out 13 base runners, so be careful stealing on this girl right here. Younger sister, Anna, will hold things down in the outfield. A .328 hitter from the left side of the plate, 22 hits, 3 doubles, and 15 runs scored. When you talk about the depth of Lourdes, I think 3 other girls last season that hit over 300. Kate Fredericks, who also stole 16 bases. You had Grace Boyson, she hit .310, and Avery Wasniewski, who had 4 doubles and a triple. Julia O'Connell played some first base last year, heard her name a few times. I personally will be eager to see the return of Reagan Rowley, who suffered a significant knee injury toward the end of last season, as she would provide a huge spark to the pitching rotation for Lourdes, as well as an option at middle infield and a big bat in the lineup. Hoping Reagan comes back as good as I remember from watching her the last few summers. Wrigley's favorite Lourdes Eagle, if you, well, maybe not favorite because you got Nolan there, you got Emma, but definitely Wrigley's favorite softball player. How about that? Another year of experience for this entire Lourdes roster. You got a lot of people coming back playing in big games. They could be a tough matchup for just about anybody in the HVL in 2025. Watch out for the Lourdes Eagles. The Stewartville Tigers. Stewartville surprised a lot of people last year. Even in those of us in Tiger Nation probably, they raced out to an 8-game win streak to start the season. The Tigers would spend 4 straight weeks in the state rankings, ranked as high as number 5 in the state, finished the regular season ranked number 10 in Class 3A. Crystal Peterson will begin her 4th year as head coach after completing the best season by win percentage and first conference championship in school history, finishing 17-5 with a very tough non-conference schedule that featured teams like Winona, Northfield, Caledonia, St. Peter, and Faribault. The Tigers Tigers finished sections in third place after a rough day against Winona, and Faribault kind of fell apart there. Stewartville probably has more questions, though, in 2025 than answers. They will need to replace 4 of the top 6 hitters from last year's roster, and with it, who plays the corner infield spots? Who plays the corner outfield spots in 2025? One question the Tigers don't have is pitching. By far the strength of this team. Stewartville may have had the best 1-2 punch in southeastern Minnesota last season with senior Addie Eckerman and junior Sydney Clark. They both return this season. Sydney Clark, she was incredible in her sophomore season in 2024. A pitcher that sits in the low 60s with a bunch of pitches, including a nasty changeup. Clark was 12-2 on the mound with 166 strikeouts in only 90 innings pitched. She had a 2.17 ERA with a measly 148 batting average against. She was just as good hitting as she led the team with a 382 batting average, 440 on base percentage. She had 3 doubles, 15 RBIs with 12 runs scored. Sydney was all HVL, all area, all width, and in my opinion was the biggest snub on the all-state team. 4 girls from Winona and not Sydney Clark is just ridiculous in my opinion. That voting is just, I don't know what to do with it. Clark, the reigning what in the HVL player of the year, and she's just a junior this year. Next up, softball silent assassin Addie Eckerman. She was a huge reason Stewartville was able to rack up 17 wins 1 year ago. The hard-throwing left-handed senior was 5-3 last season, but the quality of wins is what was incredible. Dover Yoda, where she had 17 strikeouts. Winona Northfield, where she racked up 16 strikeouts. Caledonia, she had 14 strikeouts. 90 strikeouts in 56 innings, a 4-1 strikeout to walk ratio, 2.71 ERA with hitters only batting .220 against her. At the plate, she does a good job hitting to the opposite field. 12 hits, 2 doubles, 3 RBIs, and 7 runs scored. The Tigers will need her to step up in her senior season to replace the offensive production that graduated. I also talked about this a couple times already, right? You can't have great pitchers without a great catcher, and Kaylee Lehrman is just that for Stewartville. Lehrman may be one of, if not the most important defensive piece on this roster, and keeping her healthy and behind the plate is a top priority just because not a ton of depth behind Lehrman at catcher in the program, and she caught every single one of the 147 innings we played last season. So Tiger Nation appreciates the heck out of Lehrman's sacrifice, because I can't imagine it's easy behind the plate with hard-throwing pitchers like Eckerman and Clark winging them in there. I know I wouldn't want to be back there. At the plate, Kaylee racked up 16 hits, 1 double, 6 RBIs, 15 runs scored, which led the team 5 sacrifice bunts, as she was our best bunter last season. This girl, just an incredible team player, willing to sacrifice so much. Huge fan of Kaylee Lehrman in this household. 4 total seniors returned this season. Eckerman and Lehrman were the first 2. The second 2 coming up here. You got Haley Lourdes in center field. Lourdes pulled double duty, as you see here, with a medal. Track medal. She was our starting center fielder, and she also competed in the triple jump, where she went to state, placing 7th. Cool for the softball program, I think, to support her desire to do both sports at the same time. Lourdes was a perfect 13 for 13 in the outfield when the ball was hit to her, winning Stewartville's Gold Glove Award for the team. She's incredibly fast, maybe pound for pound one of the strongest girls in all of Stewartville, as she is no stranger to the weight room. She smashed the ball in Florida last season during spring training. We'll look to repeat that in her senior season last year. 12 hits, 1 home run, 6 RBIs, 12 runs scored. The last senior, Shayla Shavasta. She slotted, I'm guessing she's going to slot in at second base. That's where she shared time last year with Brielle Johnson, who has since graduated. Shavasta will need to hit like she did against Pine Island, where she had that go-ahead grand slam to help the Tigers win that game. We need her to step up. Her bat is going to be a big reason if Stewartville can swing a lot of wins in their favor this season. The last returning player for the Tigers will be freshman Brooklyn Peterson. Last season, had to play out of position. She was in left field, but we needed her bat in the lineup. But now she should return home. I don't know. I don't make decisions. But she should return home to shortstop for the next 4 years. I know I'm biased, but in my opinion, she is by far the most solid and smooth infielder that we have had in the program since her 7th grade year. Making plays that I'm fairly certain no other player in our program could make. Very athletic, good arm, so it'll be nice to see her in a position that is more comfortable for her. In her second varsity at bat, she hit the go-ahead 3-run home run to help Stewartville upset number 2 state-ranked Winona. Never came out of the lineup after that. In terms of returning players, she is top 2 in most categories behind Clark. Batting average, On base percentage, slugging, she finished with a truncated season. She didn't play all the games, but once she got in the lineup, she finished with 10 hits, a double, a home run, 7 RBIs, and 10 runs scored. Plays for the Minnesota Sticks program, hit .403 last summer, got to play with other HVL superstars like Cadence Furstad and Max Steele from Byron, Alana Schmitz from Lake City, and even the Christensen sisters from Goodhue filled in one tournament, to name a few. As my brother-in-law would describe her, she's just different, better than I ever was, that's for sure. Probably mom's genetics, that's the reason why. The big questions in Stewartville remain at first and third base and left and right field. I would imagine Eckerman or Klar would be able to fill one of those outfield positions when they aren't pitching, but that still leaves 3 spots open. Juniors Johanna Cahoon, Ashlyn Olsen, Michaela Birch may be competing for some playing time in those areas. Sophomore Ella Minnick, she's still recovering from surgery. We don't know her availability for the school season yet. I don't know about that. If those ladies aren't the answer, that moves it down to the freshman class, where we have a few athletes that could develop into solid players for the Tigers program. Just like Kasson-Mantorville, who lost quite a bit of offensive production, so did Stewartville, but also like the Komets, when you have Klar and Eckerman on the mound, you have to imagine it gives you a chance to win every single time. But the Tigers need to find out a way where the runs are going to be coming from on our side of the scoreboard. Half the girls I mentioned haven't played a softball game since the end of last school season, so we will see how that impacts their production coming in a little bit rusty into the season. Another tough schedule for Stewartville. Dover, Iota, Chatfield, Caledonia, Northfield, and Winona, just to name a few non-conference matchups. No easy game there this year, that's for sure. Next up, our last team to talk about, Zumbrota-Mazeppa. They'll be again led by mainstay head coach Kevin Nelson, and Coach Nelson will have to replace his core group of studs from last year. In 2024, the Cougars went 12-12, but I believe 4 of those losses were just by 1 run. Lost to Caledonia in sections by 1 run. They finished in 3rd place for Section 1 Class 2A. Gone are incredible players like Cam Kovars, Megan Jasperson, Melanie Rash, Trinity Chapa. That ranks up there with Kasson-Mantorville for offensive production lost to graduation. The Cougars' top hitter, though, from last year does return. Senior outfielder Paisley Peterson not only had an amazing last name, one of the best in the HVL conference. Her and Max Steele probably, right? I'm biased to Peterson as a name. But she led the team in batting average, .427, .472 on base percentage, .561 slugging percentage. She had 35 hits, 5 doubles, 2 home runs, 24 RBIs, which led the team, 22 runs scored, all HVL, all section, team MVP, Cougar batting title. She will be a tough out for all opponents. Also returning is going to be shortstop Addie Liffrig. I can't remember what year she is. Is she a senior? I'm not sure. Just a single point under hitting 300, 14 RBIs, 9 runs scored, on base percentage of .356. Led the team with 4 sacrifices. She also had 17 innings on the mound, went 1-1. The Zumbrota-Mazeppa depth. Junior Braylee Peterson is back after hitting .289 with 13 hits, 1 double, 7 RBIs, and 13 runs scored. You got senior Emma Hatlily, who will look to make her final season for the Cougars a special one. Last year, she had 11 hits, including 3 doubles, 7 RBIs, and 9 runs scored. Emma back should be in the lineup after a sensational soccer season this past fall. I would imagine that Amelia Angerman will be the ace in the circle with the graduation of Kovars. Angerman pitched 12 games, 7 started with a 4-4 record. She had 21 strikeouts in 45 innings. With the loss of that stellar 2024 class, we will see which Zumbrota-Mazeppa players can step up this season to help out Peterson, the Peterson girls, and Liffrig. Coach Nelson always seems to have a plan, though. You don't get your name on the scoreboard and get the field named after you without being a great coach. Anybody that questions that, you're crazy. Coach Nelson's got a plan. He's going to know where to plug and play these girls. It's going to be fantastic. That's what I got for you. A breakdown of all 9 HVL teams. I'm excited for this season. It should be a horse race for the HVL championship. A few storylines, I guess, when I think about this that really jump off the page for me. First, number 1, the stars on the mound. I mean, the pitchers that we have in the HVL conference are top notch. You got Klar and Eckerman in Stewartville. You got Behrens and Steele and Byron. You got Emily Olsen in Kasson-Mantorville. Allie Pagel in Cannon Falls. Emma Voth in Goodhue. The list just goes on and on. And when you have pitchers of that quality, anybody could take a game, especially if those pitchers are on. Big time strength in the HVL are those girls 42 feet away from the plate. The other storyline that I've gone through, the young superstars that we have. It's always fun seeing the younger girls that we've watched growing up from 10U and 12U take the varsity field, especially when they're up there sooner rather than later. And I guess it's all relative if you think about it. There are really two reasons that a player will get pulled up real early. Well, three if you add in like a parent being in the coach's ear playing politics. But either way, there are a lot of great players. The two ways that I was talking about, either there's the person's a great player, or there's a lack of girls out and the poor quality of a program makes it a necessity to bring those girls up. For example, what am I talking about in terms of the lack of... For example, let's use Stewartville's girls basketball team, which congratulations to them on their way to state for the third year in a row. I think only 19 girls went out from grades 9 through 12 this year. So what you're seeing in girls warm-ups, like with the team that's on the court, there's people out there that probably have no business being on a varsity roster, but because the numbers are so low and the quality is so low, they just suit up to make, they suit up everybody from JV and C team to make it look like the program isn't hemorrhaging talent. Now, you heard some young players' names in the rundown just now, girls that were 8th graders last year. And for a group of them, that situation I described where, there's just not enough girls, there's not enough talent, for a group of these freshmen, not even close to the situation. Our fab freshmen in the HVL conference, the Maya Mengi, the Emma Templin, Brooklyn Peterson, Peyton Barnett, regardless of program numbers, they are some of the best softball players, not only in their school, but the entire conference. They aren't being pulled up because there's no one else available. They were pulled up as 8th graders last year because they are legit. And the same thing happened in Byron in 2023 with First Ed and Steele coming up as middle schoolers. I love to see it, but it's the exception rather than the rule. Only a handful of girls each year may be ready to make that big of a jump because the difference between C team and JV and softball to varsity is huge. And the young girls stepping up, making a huge impact, always fun to watch. I'm excited to see what's the next wave of underclassmen to make their presence felt in 2025. That's going to be a storyline that we have to watch out for. The final thing we have to go over is predictions I don't want to... Is it predictions, preseason rankings? I don't know. I won't give them numbers, so we'll call it predictions. Not necessarily who's going to finish 1 through 9, because I'm sure that would incite some angry people getting in arguments with me. But this is what I am thinking without watching any games live yet this year, just what it looks like on paper. I think you got to start out the favorites. Who are the favorites? Well, I think you go with Byron and Cannon Falls have to be the favorites when you look at their lineups. Byron returns all of their starters from last year, and they have 2 stud pitchers, Barons and Steele, with plenty of bats in the lineup led by First Ed. Then you have Cannon Falls. They had one big loss with Maddie Burr, but back is Avery Rustad, so nice replacement in the order there. Pagel, Mengi, Templin, Shoquist. The Bombers are for real. I feel like with lineups that they have, at least on paper, Byron and Cannon Falls are the teams to beat. Next up, we have somebody that I'll call the contenders. I think 2 teams that fall into that next tier of contenders, Stewartville and Kasson-Mantorville, have such strong pitching with Claren Eckerman in Tiger Nation and then Emily Olsen for the Komets. And we all know how important pitching is in the game of softball. Because of those players, I think those 2 teams are contenders. They'll just have to figure out how to replace the offensive production they lost to graduation. If their pitchers are on, they should be at least in close games. Then they just got to figure out how to put runs on the board to come out with the win. Next I have listed are the underdogs. I think the underdogs have to be Rochester, Lourdes, and Goodhue. Lourdes returns almost their entire roster, who was pretty young last year. We'll see how their pitching and defense come out this season. Lourdes allowed 7.1 runs a game last year, so they will need to cut that back. Goodhue has both. They have Kallstrom, they have the Christensens, plenty of girls coming back, new head coach, so maybe they turn some heads this year and shock the HVL. Unknowns is the last grouping I have. The last 3 teams, they aren't at the bottom. That's not what I'm meaning here. They aren't at the bottom. It's just tough to judge. That's why I classify them as the unknowns. Pine Island has such a strong infield with good bats, but until we know how their pitching works out, the Panthers are a mystery to try to predict in those upper 3 levels. If some pitcher steps up to replace Laram, Pine Island absolutely is going to be tough for Kim Jones. Zumbrota-Mazeppa, they lost so much to graduation, including their top pitcher Cam Kovars, incredible catcher Melanie Rash, Trinity Chappa at third base, just to name a few. That's a lot of firepower. Will Angerman make the big jump on the mound in 2025? Will Peterson and Liffrig be able to bring around enough runs for this Cougar team? It's tough to know how that'll shake out, so I put them on the unknowns. Last, Lake City. Coming off a 2-win season, new coach, younger players coming up to contribute again. Tough to gauge. That's what I got for you. I don't pick games or champs. I just promote them, and hopefully I was able to do that for you today. It's going to be an exciting softball season. If you have anything for feedback or can help out the show in any way, please email me at tigernationandbeyond@gmail.com. Just spell it all out, tigernationandbeyond@gmail.com. Scores, stats, pictures, stories, whatever you got for me, I would love to hear them. Hopefully the weather cooperates. We can get this snow melted. We can get our games in on time and as scheduled, so we're not playing like 6 games a week. I anticipate coming back for What in the HVL episode number 3 in probably 2 weeks. Whenever the first week of games happens, regular season games happens, that's when we'll start doing our weekly recaps. Every Sunday, we'll try to put those out there for you. I'm looking forward to it. Also looking forward to watching these 9 incredible teams with so many amazing players that are going to be out on the softball diamond. I hope you're as excited as I am. But that's all I got for you. Season number 2, episode number 2, number 12 overall is in the books. Thank you so much for tuning in to our favorite show. Well, my favorite show. I don't know if it's your favorite show. And what's it called? What in the HVL? That's all I got for you. We'll catch you out at the fields. Take care, everybody.